Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to lesson 2 in math. Today's lesson is on area again, finding the area of rectangles. Although today we will use a different strategy. Here's today's learning target up at the top of the screen. Lesson 2, I can use squares with appropriate side lengths to find the area of a rectangle. So we're going to use smaller squares of appropriate side lengths, and you'll see what that means in a minute, to find the area of rectangles. Now, before we begin, you'll always need your notebook. Make sure you have that and your pencil, okay? Because we're going to do all our work on paper and pencil, aren't we? All right, so let's get started. Today, we're going to pretend to be carpenters, all right? A little bit of make-believe. We have been hired as carpenters to tile floors, to lay tile down on floors like showers or patios or kitchens. So let's get to it. Our first job. We have a closet, and we need to tile this closet. You can see that this closet is 2 feet by 2 feet. It's a square closet, and both those measurements are whole numbers. And so let's go ahead. I got a pile of tiles here. Let's go ahead and drag a tile on into our closet. Now, based on the size of that tile and how much of the space of the closet it takes up on the floor, how many more tiles do you think it's going to take to completely tile this closet floor? You think? Well, let's find out. All right, let's drag down a second tile here. All right, so that's one row of 2 tiles. All right, let's drag in another couple of tiles. Oh, look at that. We did it. We tiled the entire closet floor with 2 rows of 2 tiles. Now, look at the measurement of the tile. We can use the measurement of the whole closet to figure out the measurement of the tile. If you take a look here, one side of the tile goes from 1 to 1 foot on the number line. That is the measure of the side of this closet. See that? 0 to 1 foot. And the same is true for the other side. So this is a square foot, 1 whole square foot. So we had a whole number measurement for both sides of this rectangle, and we have a whole number tile, 1 square foot. All right, so what if the square tiles have fractional side lengths? And what if the rectangle or the space, the floor that we're tiling, also is measured in fractional lengths? So let's take a look at this next one. Here's a very small floor. Oh, let me get myself out of there. My friend Chippy, the chipmunk. You see him? There he is right there. He's asked us to tile the floor in his house, in his tree. And so here it is. As you can see, this floor is 1 foot on each side. The entire thing is 1 foot. So we're not going to just lay down one giant tile. That wouldn't look very good. We're going to use smaller tiles. And our smaller tiles are these. And as you can see, because the measurements have been done for us, that each side of the tile is 1/2 of a foot by 1/2 of a foot. So they're also square tiles, but they're fractional. They're smaller than a whole. Each side is 1/2 of a foot. You know, we could even look at this side of the square as a number line, right? So if this was 0 and this was 1 foot, here would be half, right? That's halfway between 0 and 1. And that's the length of that square. That's how we know it's a half. All right, let me back up out of there a little bit, clean that up. Okay, so let's go ahead and lay down 1/2 a foot square tile. And there it is. And we can see by the plan that's been drawn for us in blue lines, a strategy we're going to get to in a second, that there's going to be 4 of these tiles. 4 half-foot tiles will cover this 1 square foot floor in Chippy's tree. And boy, those are good looking tiles. All right, so let's take a look at another problem. Ooh, Tweety Bird, her bird cage. It's also 1 foot square on both sides, 1 foot by 1 foot. It's just a bird cage, but she'd like us to tile it with something pretty. So, she has something nice to poop on. And so and she wanted very small, pretty tiles. She picked them out. They're very small. And check this out. They are 1/3 of a foot on each side, 1/3 by 1/3. So these are very small tiles. Now, the plan isn't drawn for us yet. So like all good carpenters, before we start dropping down tile, we need to come up with a plan, right? In this last slide here, we saw the plan was drawn out for us with these blue lines, wasn't it? See them? Right? So we're going to do that here. Let's take our, I got a special tool here I'm going to try. Hopefully it'll make some straight lines for us. We have the plan started, right? We see this square foot, this 1/3 square foot. What if we drop down and just continue this line all the way to the bottom? What if we did that? And what if we continue this line all the way across? Oh no, all the way across. Well, that starts to give us a plan, but I don't think it's complete yet. Remember, this is a 1/3 of a foot, right? That's a 1/3 of a foot. So again, if we picture a number line, let's call that 0/3, right? There's a 1/3 of a foot. That'd be 1/3, right? This would be 2/3, and that would be 3/3. So a 1/3 of a foot, and then let's see. Let's get rid of that because I don't want to confuse you by mislabeling things, even though it's correct. So this column here is a 1/3 of a foot in width. This column here, we're going to draw this column next. That's also a 1/3 of a foot. So let's turn on that cool tool again. So that's 1/3 of a foot here. And then we also have 1/3 of a foot here. Another column. We can do the same now for the, I'm sorry, I'm saying columns. I meant rows. It's getting late. I apologize. These are rows. So now we have one column. We got to draw the second column here. So let's estimate, where would that be? Looks like it'd be right about there. So if we drop that line straight down, it would give us another, yep, there we go. And so that would be, let's see, a 1/3 of a foot column and a 1/3 of a foot column. So these 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3, well, that equals 3/3, which equals 1, which is what we see, 1 foot on each side. So we know we're correct. So it looks like we're going to need 9 tiles, and we can just double check by dragging in these very, very good looking tiles that Tweety Bird wanted at the bottom of her cage. Wow, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're correct, 9 tiles. All right, so it takes 9 tiles to make a square foot, 1/3 square foot tiles to make a 1 square foot floor. So let's see if we can apply some of this knowledge to the next couple of problems, okay? Me and Dozer. Dozer has a special box, right? And his special box is for a special bonus, 3.5 inches by 2 inches. We need to know what size tile is it going to take in order to tile the bottom of this very special box for his very favorite bone. And the clue is in the unit of the measurement of the side length, 3.5 inches. All right, the clue is here, 1/2. Because one side length is measured in 1/2 inches, and the other side is whole numbers, no fractions there. So we're talking about 1/2 inches. We got to land on a 1/2 inch size tile so we can completely cover the box. And so as you can see, that information has been given to us already in the bottom right corner. Each of these tick marks here represents a 1/2 inch measurement. So in this case, because that measurement's been done for us, we can simply connect those lines, knowing that each box is going to be a 1/2 inch on each side, and we'll be able to completely fill this rectangle because it's measured in 1/2 inch units, 3.5 inches, right? So let's go ahead and draw out our plan. I'm going to turn on, my tool. Here we go. Let's draw some straight lines. How'd that work? Not too bad. Okay, and then we'll continue these lines. We know they're already 1/2 inches because the measurement's been done for us. And we chose 1/2 inch measurements because the entire length of this special box is 3.5 inches. And now we have our grid. That is the map of where our tiles will go. And if we need to, we can start dropping down tiles to see if we're correct. Let's see, at a 1/2 inch on each side, these tiles, will they completely go from one end to the other? They will. They will. Look at that. So check it out. We have 1/2 inch there, 1/2 inch there. So that's 1 inch. Let me turn off that tool, right? And then we have another 1/2 inch here, another 1/2 inch here. So this distance, that is another 1 inch. We got a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch. That's also 1 inch. And then a 1/2 of an inch. That's a 1/2. 1 inch plus 1 inch plus 1 inch plus 1/2 inch is 3.5 inches, which is exactly what we see right there. Awesome. So we picked the 1/2 inch side tile, the appropriate tile, right? Just like it says up here in our learning target, appropriate side lengths in the tile, right? Because the side length was 3.5 inches. So let's go ahead and do the next one. What do you see for a fractional measurement on the side of this chicken coop? Do you see it? Thirds, 2 2/3 feet. So what is the side length of the tile we're going to need if we're going to completely cover this chicken coop, Fluffy's chicken coop, with tiles? That's right, 1/3 of a foot. And each of these tick marks has done that for us, measured off 1/3 of a foot. And we know we need 1/3 foot square tiles because the measurement of the length of this coop is in thirds. And of course, the other one's in whole feet. So we don't need to worry about that, just the thirds. So straight lines, here we go. Let's see here. Let's make our map of this chicken coop and plan, as good carpenters do, for how many tiles we'll need. And we're using 1/3 of a foot on each side tiles, 1/3 foot square tiles, because the length of this coop is 2 2/3 feet. And that's our clue. So that middle line there is not very good, but we'll ignore it for now. Okay, let's see. We have we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 9 rows. And we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns. Ooh. Yes. Could we drag in our tiles? Do they fit? Yes. Would this take forever? Absolutely. And the boss does not want to pay overtime. So we're not going to keep dragging tiles for now. We are going to use our multiplication. We know we have, one row is 8, I believe, right? Did we count 8 tiles in a row? We did. Yep, there's 8. And we know we have 9 rows. So we can do 9 rows times 8 tiles in each row and say, thank you, reflex math. Because I'm practicing, I know that the answer is 72 tiles. Because 9 times 8 is 72. 1/3 of a foot on each side because the measurement of one of the sides is 2 2/3 feet. Last problem. Here we go. First of all, what is the size of the tile we're going to need? And how do you know? All right. If you came up with the right answer, it's down here. 1/2 yard. 7.5 yards is a measurement of the width of this rectangle. 7.5. That means we want to use 1/2 yard tiles so that we can tile this yard. So, by the way, that's me in the grass, so I don't have to mow anymore. I hate mowing. So if we could just tile my lawn, this lawn here, then we'll be good to go. And I'll never have to mow again, and I'll be very happy. So what is the plan? I'm going to have you stop right now. You are going to draw with your paper and pencil a plan and figure out how many tiles of a 1/2 yard on each side we need to tile my yard so that I never have to mow again. I will see you back here on the other side of this problem. Go ahead. Welcome back. Did you figure it out? Let's see. We're going to draw our plan. We got 1/2 yard tiles to figure out. So we're going to go ahead and connect these dots so we can figure out how many 1/2 yard square tiles it's going to take to tile my yard so that I never have to mow again. Uh-oh. Too fast. The computer said, you're making a rectangle. And I just said, no, I'm not. I am kind of making rectangles, aren't I? But I don't want to make that kind of rectangle. I just counted 15 rows. So 15 rows. Wow. Okay. So that's how many columns do we have? Let's see here. That's 1 column, 2 columns, 3, 4, 5, 6, And that line makes 2 more columns, 1 on either side, 7 and 8. So, boy, oh boy, we have, let's see, this row, if I'm counting correctly, yep, has 8 tiles. 8 tiles. That's 6, 7, and 8. And I have 15 rows. So that is 15 times 8. 15 times 8. That's not a math fact. We're just going to have to do that out. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's use partial products, okay? 15 times 8. So I'm going to go ahead and do 8 times 15, 5 first. That's 40. I'm going to do 8 times 10. That's 80. Add up my partial products and get 120. 120. I need 120 tiles in order to never have to mow again, to cover my yard, this yard right here. All right, and I knew I needed half. Let's get back to, remember, the learning target. I can use squares with appropriate side lengths. How do we know the side length is appropriate for the tiles we're using? Because we look at the measurements of the overall rectangle we're trying to fill, the floor, the yard, the chicken coop, the dog box, right? Okay, you've got to get to your practice work. It's in Google Classroom. It's a series of slides. You get to choose. All right, I'm here if you need help. Great work today.